You took my seats for the Minecraft movie? Okay, by user Darilo. My 7-year-old spent a full year excited to see the Minecraft movie. He knew it was to come out April 4th, but I bought tickets for an early showing on Thursday the 3rd. The plan was for me and his sisters to pull him out of school a few minutes early and surprise him. It worked beautifully, until we got to our seats. A week out, I purchased 5 tickets for right in the middle of the F row. I choose this row every time in our theater because it's the first in a section. This means my kids won't be kicking anyone's seat, or talking right in their ear, and don't have to scooch past to get to the bathroom. When we got to the theater, 15 minutes early, I found the entire row was taken up by a rather large family. There were also a lot of them. I told the matriarch I thought they were in my seats, double-checked my receipt for theater and time, but she maintained that she also had bought these seats. I walked out and grabbed a 17-year-old usher I wasn't very confident in the authority of. I told him, I don't mind sitting in the G row, I just don't want someone else to come in having reserved those G seats and make me the interloper. The woman fumbled with her phone a little bit, hemmed and hawed, but nothing came of it. Keep in mind this was a Thursday afternoon matinee, so there weren't a ton of people filing into the theater. My kids could tell something was going on. In the interest of modeling conflict resolution and saving the moment, I decide we take the G row and see what happens. Cue petty revenge light bulb, and it doesn't have anything to do with chicken jockeys. Tootney out, it was only us and them in the theater. So I let my kids have a blast at this movie. I didn't shush them, I didn't care if they kicked the seats of the F row, put their feet up, hell I would have let them throw a little popcorn, but they didn't. Every time an F row interloper sighed and glared backward, all I did was shrug. It was glorious. After the movie, those people left behind all their popcorn buckets and trash, like the scum they were. You want to help yourself to my drugs? Good luck, by user Dan Sinjan Harul. Let me start by saying that I'm not doing drugs, nor have I ever done so. Anyway, this story happened years ago when I was in uni, but it still gives me the chuckles. During university I had the chance to do a few months at another university. It was far enough away that commuting wasn't an option, so the program put me in touch with a student who were transferring the other way, and we basically agreed to switch living situations. We cleared it with per respective roommates and everyone was fine with it. When I arrived I pretty quickly found out I didn't like one of the people living there. Let's go with Karen for her. The feeling was mutual, so I basically kept myself busy since it was only a few months. She was the type who got into everyone's business, especially if they didn't want her to. Now here is a fun fact about me that will be important later: I love licorice. The stronger the better. It's a niche taste. Some years before all this happened, I figured out how to get my fix without eating a ton of candy, by buying ammonium chloride powder, also known as salmiak. It's also used to make bread crispy, so you can find it in specialized baking stores and online. It is strong shot however, and it is mildly acidic. I usually eat what sticks to the tip of my finger, that's the scale to have in mind. Ammonium chloride is a fine, odorless white powder, and I kept my rations in small 10 grams plastic bags. If you think you have guessed where this is going, you're probably right. I know Karen saw me eat some once in the beginning of my stay because she asked about it and I told her it was candy and she wouldn't like it. Fast forward, there are about 2 weeks left and I come back to the place and notice an ambulance outside. Sure enough, the door to the apartment is open and 2 paramedics are trying to help Karen stop a nosebleed of horrifying proportions. As soon as she saw me, she started screaming that it was my fault. Paramedics asked me if I know anything about what is going on because Karen claimed it came out of the blue. So I asked her, specifically, if she went into my room, found and took my bag of candy and then tried to sniff it. She hesitantly admits. It's not coke, you idiot, it's salmiak, I tell her, and specify the chemical name for the paramedics. In the end she had to go to the ER because they weren't sure she hadn't burned a hole in her nasal wall with that stunt. She hadn't, but according to my exchange buddy she couldn't smell anything for almost 6 months afterwards. And still blamed me. Hotel screwed me over, so I actively discourage tourists from booking there, by user Mykitsitslikpl. I had a bad experience with a particular hotel that is part of a larger chain. They lost my reservation, couldn't give me the room I had reserved, gave me a lesser room, charged my credit card twice and at the previous rate when the rate on that day was cheaper. I managed to get one of the charges dropped, but I am still salty about having to overpay for a crappy room. And their corporate customer service was even worse. I work in a tourist-adjacent position and at least once a week, I'm asked for recommendations about local accommodations. We have a list and I make a point to tell them not to book at the one I loathe. I have no intention of ever stopping. Yes, it's petty and yes, it gives me great satisfaction every time. So we've paid your rent, have we? By user Jorge Sordores. I was renting a 6-bed house with 8 others for 2 years. We were all in our 20s, earning good money and partying hard. The landlord didn't want to deal with us individually, so it was decided that one person had to be responsible for paying rent for us all. The person who paid the rent, Dave, also paid the initial deposit. Dave had rich parents, so he always had spare money to help out and everyone agreed that he was a great bloke. Dave promised to pay the rent for the last month for us all if we cleaned the place up, £600, when the contract ended. The house wasn't trashed, but needed a bit of deep cleaning/decorating and a few repairs to get the deposit back. It was 6 months' rent of £3,600, which was a lot in the 1980s, so we agreed. Unfortunately for Dave, he was away when the landlord came to do an initial inspection to let us know what needed to happen for the deposit to be returned, and in conversation, it turned out that the rent was being split 8 ways, not 9. Dave had been living there rent-free for 2 years without us knowing. We had a massive party over a long weekend, drinks were spilled and a food fight broke out on more than one occasion. We didn't put anything out for the dustman for 2 weeks, cleaned nothing, and all moved out the day before Dave got back, 1 day before handover. Surprisingly, he managed to get £400 of the deposit back and tried to make us pay the outstanding money we owed him. He gave up after threats of police involvement if he tried to pursue it. I found out years later that our actions totally wrecked his plan to put a deposit down on the house he was saving up, our money, for. Revenge of a Brother-in-Law, by user acceptable_noise 651. My brother-in-law is annoying and comes off at times as condescending, which I think is due to being insecure, so I hold my tongue often. A while back my wife and I visited her sister and him for a long weekend. While he was at work, police officer, she complained about all these chores he hasn't done and kids' furniture and toys not assembled, etc. My wife offered for me to take care of some of it, which I gladly jumped on. The furniture and toys took me under an hour. I'm a woodworker that makes furniture, lol, and of course I had to comment on his anemic collection of useless tools. After that I went into their garage and broke down and tied up an almost packed garage of cardboard boxes. Noticed some kitchen cabinet doors were misaligned, those got adjusted too, and for the icing on the cake, it snowed a few days prior to us arriving. He neglected to shovel, so I shoveled, even cleaning up the hard-packed snow/ice in the driveway from him driving over it for a few days. For the rest of the weekend I was a rock star, and he had to hear it from his wife that everything he procrastinated on for months took me half a day. I pick and choose my battles wisely with my brother-in-law, as we're both in it for the long term, so my strategy has always been subtle revenge.